Every day, we build the world around us.
But who's checking in on us?
Welcome to Built for Us.
The brand new podcast.
Built by construction workers, for construction workers.
It's our own honest space.
There's no scripts, there's no suits. It's just
Real talk about mental health, stress.
And showing up for each other.
Hi guys, welcome to Built for Us Podcast, the podcast for construction workers by construction workers. Today, me and my good friend Craig are going to talk about the red tape, the zero tolerance, all those things that stop guys from opening up on site about any kind of issues that they might have for fear of being matched off. So, welcome Craig, how are you doing?
not bad, mate. Thanks for asking. It's good to be back. I've not been on for a wee while, so thanks for the welcome from yourself and Tim, mate.
No, it's good to have you. So yeah, we're going to talk. I know that, like, this is not scripted or anything else. It's just, this is how we do it. It's just us talking. And I think a good discussion to have is around zero tolerance around drugs and alcohol, and obviously all the red tape involved. Why do people, guys especially, not come for help sometimes? I know from personal experience, a lot of myself included, when I was on site, I drank occasionally on a weekend. I'd do coke. I mean, I'd lost my head a little bit. And if you got drug tested, you was marched off site and that was it. You was left to deal with it. And I think that's a big, obviously it's an issue in itself. No one should be doing drinking drugs. And if they are, they shouldn't be on site. You know, it's from a safety perspective. But my belief, and I don't know about yours, is if somebody has got a problem and they get tested, rather than just being marched off site and that's it, losing the job, being thrown in the deep end, I think organisations should be doing more to give them at least a chance. You know, like, right, we're going to offer you the support, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I think more guys would come forward and admit that they do need support, they do need help.
I think for me, Steve, it's the. I mean, you look at it, but how long ago was your accident, mate?
My accident was 15 years ago, but I stopped working in construction probably about 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago.
So between, has anything changed in 6 years?
Like now, obviously, I don't work in construction, but I visit a lot of construction sites doing what I'm doing.
So with the feedback you get, mate, do you think anything's changed? And I mean I'm saying this because I'm 25 years in the construction industry, and me personally, I think since we've went to a zero tolerance kind of workforce, I think more people are hiding, mate, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I think,
and that's what I'm saying. It's people aren't going to come forward because they're afraid to, but then it's still happening. So they're still drinking, they're still using, maybe more than just a weekend, like through the week, stuff like that, which then becomes a safety concern on site because
definitely
the mental health isn't in a good place. To answer your question, I don't think there's a great deal of change happened even since my accident 15 years ago. I think that a lot is just exactly the same, and a lot of attitudes are still exactly the same. But we'd get random drug tested on a certain day of the week. People knew it was going to happen, and how guys got around it was they'd take a condom into site. If the name got called, they'd get another guy to go and piss in it, stick it in the pocket so it stayed warm. When it went to do the test, they'd use that, you know what I mean? And then they'd get away, but it was happening. It was happening a lot. And I think more people who have got a problem with drink, with drugs, would come forward if they knew the support was there. You know, like, because people think now if they come forward and say, yeah, I'm drinking X amount, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, in their mind, they're just going to get matched off site because of this zero tolerance. And that's not helping anybody, is it? That's my view.
So I think for me, mate, it's like, I mean, prime example, one of the jobs I was on recently, one of the guys that does the drug and alcohol testing, he was sitting one day, everybody's bored, the guys were winded off, guys sitting there bored, they says, I'll just fill the time doing some drug and alcohol testing. that in itself is an issue, mate, because I think a lot of these guys, you're playing with people's futures.
Yeah.
You're playing with somebody's livelihood. I think for me, it's and I know I've spoke to James on this many a time, but it's like, show me somebody that hasn't sinned. Show me somebody that hasn't made a mistake in their life. We shouldn't be throwing people under the bus because they have one incident. This has got to be something that we go back to basics with it. We don't want people on our sites that are inebriated. We want sober people, but we need to get in the real world and know that everybody's doing it. Do you know that,
Yeah.
that it's everywhere, mate? I think I
It
said
is.
in one of the podcasts, Eve, there was a wastewater treatment company I was working with, and they said they tested the water in every single waste treatment plant in Scotland, even after purification, and it still had traces of cocaine. Do you know that this is what's happening, mate? Do you know?
Yeah.
You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. So we need
It's,
to
ev-
start.
it's everywhere.
We need to start looking at it, mate, as rather than it being zero tolerance. Great, we all want zero tolerance. We all want zero harm, but is it possible? Do you know, is it really possible? Talk about zero harm with yourself. You have an accident. Is zero harm possible? It's a great target to reach, and zero tolerance is a great thing to try and reach. But surely we've got to clamp down on the education for these guys, because a lot of young men, yourself and myself included, when we were younger, many moons ago, but we didn't know the dangers of drugs and alcohol. Nobody
Yeah,
taught us that. So
no, it
why
was
are we
just
not educating people when they come onto site if they get a negative test?
yeah, it was just the norm, and I think it is still the norm for a lot of people. Like growing up, leaving school, getting into construction, like, and you know yourself, it's not an easy job. It's a tough job. You're working hard, and then no matter what sector in construction you work under, it's all manual, mate. Obviously, unless you're in an office, but even then, you've got the mental stress. So
Aye.
you've got the physical, the mental. Most people go home and it's like, I finish work, I just want to drink, and that's it, just to relax. But then it's like myself, I got offered coke at a young age, and I just thought everybody was doing it. Like he's reading about celebrities doing it and all sorts of stuff, and it was cool. And there was times I was definitely under the influence at work from the night before, looking back, like sat in a 45-ton machine. But I didn't see it as an issue, but I wasn't educated around it. I didn't understand it then like I understand it now. And it's like you said, I think education goes a long, long way. And I think we need to educate the guys and girls on site rather than just this zero tolerance. I mean, yeah, instead of just zero tolerance, even if we get one chance, like if someone admits they've got a problem, comes to you, offer that support, find that support. If they then kind of take the piss and they don't make no changes, then yeah, they can't be on site. But I know myself, I'm not the same person I was a year ago. Know what I mean? Let alone people do change and people can change. And I think just marching somebody off site because they failed their drug or drink test, like you said, that could change the direction of their life
Yeah.
forever. And mental health, we all have mental health, all of us, but people don't like talking about mental health. It's getting a little bit better, but I still find that there is still that stigma. And if somebody's drinking on a school night, as I like to call it, or doing coke on a school night, it's because they've got something going on. You don't just do it for the fun of doing it. And you need to get to the bottom of that and help them with that. And then you've got a good worker on your hands. You know what I mean? Why mark someone off to bring someone else on who potentially the same?
Yeah. And that's the thing, mate. It's like yourself, I did do a lot of studies in these things, and they were saying the average worker on £30,000 a year, it costs you 25 grand to replace them. And that's a lot of money, rather than
Yeah.
work with somebody and just give them the tools that they need to overcome their addiction. So I think that the rally call is for the construction industry to stop throwing people under the bus and just start working with people, talk to people. Do you know, at the end of the day, this is people's livelihoods. I mean, I know a lot of, even you were saying about office workers, mate. I know a lot of project managers that these guys are looking after 4, 5, 6 jobs at a time, and the stress is through the roof. Do you know,
Yeah.
these guys, they're going from hotel to hotel, they're not seeing their kids. And what you doing when you're staying in a hotel? Do you know, you're having a drink, you're having a sniff, you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, but this is the only release that a lot of these guys get. And it is an instant, you know, yourself is instantaneous. It's something that gives you that buzz. And a lot of these guys are using it to keep themselves awake for a bit of release. Do you know, it's to break the monotony of I'm going from site to site, I'm having to look after all these jobs, deadlines have got to be met. And I think that is, when I speak to guys on site about stress, that is a massive thing that these guys are covering X amount of jobs. The stress levels are through the roof, and they're using recreational drugs to get by, mate.
Yeah, it is. And it's like I worked away from home a lot as a 360 driver. When I worked in construction and demolition, so I'd be away from Sunday night to Friday, late Friday, and again, most of the digs that we got, what we sorted ourselves, was in a pub. It was in a bed and breakfast or a pub, something like that. So you finish work, first thing you do, go and order your tea, sit with your tea, have a pan, and then somebody will be like, "Oh, you're having another one?" And then it'd be like, "Yeah, fair enough." But then that one will then lead to another one, and before you know it, it's 10 o'clock and you've had 5 or 6 pounds. And then I'd be going home at the end of the week, and my partner at the time would be like, "Oh, I need this money for this," or blah, blah, blah. But all the extra money that I'd got for working away, I'd blown on drink all week. And you know what I mean? I didn't realise I'd fell down into that. It's only looking back now over what I've done and stuff like that. It's like, God, I was in such a state at that point. You know what I mean? I wasted a lot of money, nearly messed up my family, my relationship.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a problem. It was the norm. But
What kind of advice would you give to younger guys coming into this game, mate? I mean, I love the industry, and I'll never leave construction. I think it's one of the best industries in the world, mate. But what kind of advice would you give? And I'll give mine also, mate. But you first. What kind of advice would you give to 20-year-old Steve coming onto the
I
site
think-
to go to dig some
I think-
holes?
for me, and it's advice I give now, it's the first thing is talk. You know, like whatever is going through your mind, talk to somebody. And that's on these organizations as well, to create these safe spaces for people to be able to talk. People say mental health is as important as safety and blah, 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 blah now. Let's start showing it. You know, let's create these safe spaces. But to my younger self, it'd be, don't be afraid to ask questions, you know, around the job or whatever's happening on site. Because again, people would say, "Oh, go and do that," and I wouldn't have a clue. I'd never done it before, but I'd be like, "Oh, all right," because I felt I had to. I mean, I'd been given a job to do. So always ask questions, especially if you're unsure. And around alcohol and drugs, it's just stay away. No, which is easy said, but again, if like when I stopped drinking, it changed my life. I've not drank for over 4 years, and I'm a different person because of it. My life's gone in a different direction because of it. And if somebody had told younger me that when you're in your 40s, you're going to give up drink, I'd have laughed and said never. Like, I was brought up around drinking. But yeah, just be aware of what you're putting into your system and how much you're drinking. Obviously, all alcohol's got units on it. I never knew what a unit was, to know what it was for, but I now know that around 1 unit of alcohol, depending on size, build, everything else, takes around 1 hour to leave your system. So if you're having 6, 7 pints, and then on a school night, and then you're getting up at 6 a.m. to drive to work or drive to site, you're probably still under the influence. So again, for me, it's just, it's educating. I think we need to educate people more within the industry. And that'd be my advice to my younger self. Ask questions and learn. Do you know what I mean? Understand.
You mentioned safe places there, mate. I think that's something that I've been trying to bring to every site that I've been on, and I think that's something that between the mental health first aiders, between the medics, between the project management team, I mean, we should be writing this into the contracts. This that people need that support. It shouldn't be just a mental health awareness day. Do you know? Pick and choose what month you want to do that in. Suicide awareness day in September.
Yeah.
We just seem to be doing this on these like one day, not even one day a month, mate. Maybe
Yeah.
one day every 4 months. Do you know, we'll have something, and do you know, it's not good enough. There needs to be somewhere. Like at a prime example, a job I was on recently, and I'd said to the guys, "Listen, I don't have an issue with you guys putting my face out, putting my number there, and if anybody wants to talk, I'll find somewhere and get a coffee." And I sat down and I chat, and it was greeted by somebody. I have a PhD in psychology. I will do the talking. And I said, "Mate, you're the guy that does the drug and alcohol test. There is not one fucking person on this site that would even talk to you, never mind come
No.
and speak to you about mental health issues." And I think we seem to be, especially when it comes to mental health first aiders, we seem to be given the wrong people the training. It doesn't seem to be the Steves and the Craigs, the guys that are front
Yeah,
facing,
yeah.
the guys that you would trust. And it's like whenever I do my story, Steve, I always start with that. Like, I'm the safety guy. You do not talk to the safety guy. But by the time I'm finished telling you this story, I guarantee that you'll come up and speak to me, mate. And that's always the thing that I've always done, is wear my heart on my sleeve, mate. I think there needs to be more people like that in the industry, because it is still very much a man's game. It's a manly man. We drink, we take gear. Do you know, that's
Yeah.
our bag. Do you know? But
Yeah, it's that bravado, isn't it? But I think for me, you as a safety guy and me as a ground worker or a machine operator, again, like you just said, you see the safety guy come in, it's like, shit, Craig's coming. Like, get your PPE on, get working. Like, all right, Greg, and that's it. You know, like,
the thing is, mate, before I got sober, I'd be walking by you full of drink. I would be that safety guy that
Yeah.
took my addiction from being a ground worker, being a site manager, being a safety guy. I went through the 3 phases before I eventually got help 7 years ago. Do you know? So you guys would be going, "Shit, there's Craig, don't breathe on him." And I would be going, "Fuck, there's the guys, don't breathe on them." And we would both be thinking the same thing. And I think that's something that we're all equals. There is no, I say it
no,
in sight, mate, there's no ladder. Do you know?
no, there is no ladders, but me, I'm like, my opinion, from what I used to think and feel, I saw one of the guys in a suit. It was always above me in my head. I'm just a kid off a council estate who ended up on a construction site. I saw a guy in a suit. I saw that as power in a sense. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, shit. And I wouldn't go and talk to him. I would about the job, don't know if, but drinking or anything else, it's like, shit, I'm on my mental health. It's like, I can't talk. I'm not going to talk to them.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing now, a lot of companies are putting people through mental health first aid training, which is great. And I completely support and agree with. But I believe that every person on the site should do even the basic first aid training, like mental health first
100%,
aid
mate.
training. And it's all right ticking a box and saying, "Oh, we've now got 5 mental health first aiders." But if them mental health first aiders are sat in an office and they're not around site and they're not creating that rapport with the guys on the
100%.
site, it's, what use is it? The only way someone's going to talk to you and open up is if you come across as relatable and they can trust you and you've got that
Exactly,
rapport.
mate. And therein lies the problem, because I mean, I've done talks for massive company in the UK, and everybody knows them, so I won't name them. But every time I was doing my talks, I would say to the guys, "Listen, can you put your hand up if you're a mental health first aider?" And doing sessions with 200, 300 men, you would be lucky if there was like one or two hands would go up. And it just came to me there. They said, "Oh, one of them's the receptionist and the other one's the project manager." And I'm like, "So you've got the receptionist who's off for I think she was on maternity leave. Not that there's anything wrong with that. She's on maternity leave. So you've got her and the project manager. That's your mental health first aiders. Are you seriously going to the project manager with a problem? It just, the mind boggles me. And it's
It
the
does.
same thing that I said to you. I'm the safety guy. Nobody would talk to me, but I make sure that when I do introductions with guys, I mean, every single person on the site that I'm on just now, of about 400 guys, they all know me by name. They all know my history. They all know that it's a safe place if you want to talk. Do you know? And I
Yeah.
think that's, as I say, the industry needs more people that are these superheroes that are just going to open up their heart and open up their mind to have these discussions. But you'll see it, Steve. They'll wheel you out once a year. They'll wheel me out once a year. You know, dust us off and then throw us out there to tell everybody our story. And then it's like, right, back to work. You know, you're working late and dickhead, you're working the weekend. And I don't care if you've not seen your family in 6 months. Do you know,
Yeah,
it still is quite a horrible industry like that.
the job needs to be done.
Yeah.
Target to meet, contracts to sort out. It's
And that's it, mate. And I've got, we'd said there about the ladders. I mean, mate, I could tell you a hell of a lot of stories from senior level that, like, prime example, we had guys one January, it was a January maybe 3 years ago, and I did the training with the apprentices. So talking to these young boys from Glasgow, they've not got much. They've came from the same schemes that I came from, and talking away to these young boys. So I said to them, listen, remember, you've got your DNA test on Monday. Aye, okay, Craig, okay. Saw the boys on Monday, and 3 of them failed the drug and alcohol tests. So fast forward a couple of weeks, I'm in the middle of a meeting, and the guys had said, listen, we're sacking them, and that's it. We can't have drugs in this industry. We can't have drugs in this company, blah, blah, blah. And I'd said to the guys, well, if my memory's not forgiving me, weren't you two the same guys that were creeping about the toilets on the Christmas night out a few months ago? And the guy said, oh, that's slanderous. I'll get you sacked, Craig. And I said, listen, you sack the boys and I walk, and that's it. Do you know, and I put my keys down on the table. And funnily enough, the boys kept their job, but it took something like me taking it to the extreme, Steve, to say, do you know what? You're a fucking fraud, because you were the guy that was doing it at the Christmas night out. Your wife's sitting there, so either you and him are having an affair, or you two guys were taking cocaine in the toilets. And I just kind of walked away and dusted myself off and went, you know, I've done my bit for the boys.
So here's
You
a
know,
question for you. 'Cause all my experience is actually on site. You know what I mean? I was plant operator, site supervisor. I spent all my time on site. And obviously, on a lot of the bigger sites, especially, that's when you was getting brought in for drug and alcohol testing. There was zero tolerance. And I had a few colleagues, few mates who got marched off site because they had weed in the system or alcohol from the night before. What's it like in the office space? Do they get randomly drug tested as well?
mate, it's they say it's, oh yeah, you nailed it there, Steve. Random. Show me a random drug test, mate. Do you know that the numbers can easily come out. You can easily manipulate these things. I've heard guys have that conversation to say, oh, such and such is he's a bit of a troublemaker. The next round of DNA tests, we'll see who's on the list next. So that tells you how random it is, mate. A lot of office staff don't get tested. Do you know, there isn't as much of a a clear slate when it comes to the office staff, to the ground workers. Most companies I've worked for have been the PC, and I guarantee you not one of the PC team get DNA tested, but the contractors get DNA tested.
Yeah,
Do you know?
that's all I was thinking, because obviously I know it happens a lot with a site with the boots on the ground, but obviously I'm not in an office, so I just was a bit curious as to do office
Well,
staff get pulled in.
It's the same thing I've always told you, Steve, and the same thing that I've always told everybody. I will always tell you guys the truth. And even from, I mean, you know yourself, I was on the tools. My friend was killed. That was the only reason I got into health and safety. He was crushed between a lorry, a digger and a roller. Do you know, that was the only reason I got into health and safety. And I wanted to make the world a better place for you guys, because what was happening in those meetings, I wanted to know what was happening in those meetings so I could relate to you guys, but relate to you guys in your own language, because I'm sick of these health and safety people and site managers and senior managers. They hit out with all the talk, and you guys don't know what's going on at the ground level. I take all that information, put it into layman's terms, and deliver it to the guys, because everybody deserves a voice. But
Yeah.
when you go back to it as well, mate, the one that I was saying to you prior to us recording this, we had our mental health day, and a young guy, 18 years old, lost his mother in a really bad place, still staying in the same house that him and his mum stayed in. And he opened up at one of the health and safety meetings when we were having a mental health day. And he said, Craig, I'm smoking a lot of weed. I'm taking a lot of coke at the weekends, and I'm drinking myself into a bad place. And I said, right, stay with me at the end of this, and the two of us will have a talk, and we'll have a coffee. And you know, the PC were wanting to sack him. The PC were saying, we need to get that boy in for a drugs and alcohol test. And I said, the guy's just opened up. He's lost his mother. You heartless bastards, man. And that, I think a lot of people, when they work up this imaginary ladder, they work their way up it and they think they're above everything. They think they're above guys like me and guys like you. They think they're above us, when it couldn't be further from the truth.
Wow. And it's like we said earlier on, it's people's livelihoods, it's people's lives that are being affected. And yeah, you shouldn't do drugs, you shouldn't, but people do. Like more people probably smoke weed now than actually drink alcohol. You know, like it's massive.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to kind of accept that that is out there, and people are going to do it. But to literally sack somebody instantly because, like that scenario you've just said, he lost his mum, he was in a bad place. Like most of us, he started self-medicating, he turned to drink, ended up doing drugs. And then instantly the company want to get rid of him. He's already towards the bottom of that dark hole. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
what happens to him after that. Whereas instead of just, if they offered support instead, even getting in touch with someone like yourself or like me, or, I mean,
100%, mate.
got that, so give him that support. Within a few weeks, he turns his life around. He's got a completely different mindset. He's in a completely different headspace. He's back to doing his job the way he does it. Company's benefiting, he's benefiting, everything's good. Whereas
Mate.
throwing him under the bus, that ripple effect of that it could be massive.
Because it takes me to a point that that we support differing between the office workers and the guys on site, mate. Like, I will always go out of my way to tell the guys that there's support available. The amount of times I was on site with that same contractor, and I would say to them, you guys know there's support out there. Do you know about the Lighthouse Charity? Do you know about Andy Mann's Club? Do you know about any of these things? And the guys are like, no, I don't know, Craig. But it's plastered on the walls. Do you know, it just becomes wallpaper.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the office staff, it's really drilled into them. Like, it is properly, listen, if you are struggling, there is help, and there's the help there.
Yeah.
I think on another point as well, when you think about the contractors that are on site, that's the hard thing, is how do we get a lot of the companies nowadays, the big companies, a lot of them have become almost like subsidiaries. They'll hire out, they'll be a management company, and then they'll hire out to different contractors to do the jobs. How do you get to the contractors? Because it's okay for a Keir or a Balfour Beatty or one of these massive companies. They'll have their mental health support there. But how do you get that to your Craig and Steve in a van that, Craig, I need you to meet Steve. Two of you guys are going to be doing a pipeline that's a 1,000-metre long, and it's gone from the Outer Hebrides to whatever. Do you know who's there to help us guys? Do you know where is that help? And we're working on behalf of Balfour Beatty, but we're not in with Balfour Beatty. Do you know, we're just two contractors. We're just a pair of contractors that maybe the cheapest option. How do you get that help to us two guys? And I personally don't see enough being done to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and that's the gap. Like a lot of the work I did when I was in construction, I was an agency worker. You know, like a couple of months here, a month there, and it was similar. You know, like the actual people who work for the company that where we was. They'd get obviously all the perks involved. They'd have their own kind of like safety meetings sometimes where we'd have to go in a separate one as agency workers. And yeah, that support definitely wasn't there. And that was, I'm talking before my accident, so even around about 17 years ago. And to me, it all feels pretty much the same now. Yeah, we're talking about it more.
Aye.
But where's the action? Like, it's all right talking about it. It's all right getting some mental health first aiders. But where are these safe spaces? Where is all this inclusivity? Like, everybody, we're a team. And a big part of my talks when I'm around the country is about that, is we're all a team. You know what I mean? And we all treat each other the same. We communicate, because it's like any team, whether you're a Rangers supporter or whether you're a Man U supporter, they're at their absolute best when they're communicating and they're playing together. And it's the same in construction. If you've got a team that are communicating and the morale's high, people are going to open up. People are going to have confidence to talk. And it's about doing that. It's about creating, for me, and as you said, that safe space. It's about encouraging people. For me, if someone's drinking a lot, if they're doing drugs, whether it's weed, whether it's coke, it is a mental health issue. They've got something going on in the mind that they're masking, or they have in the past. They've got some form of trauma in the past, and that's why they've got to where they're at. And if they can open up and speak about that and about the difficulties, then support is there. And even the smaller companies, get in touch with a podcast. I mean, get in touch with us guys, and we've got a team of us that can support and help people. So,
and Steve, that's the thing as well, mate. I mean, I get phone calls from people all over the UK, like, oh, my son's working in Scotland. Could you have a word with them? Or I'm sure you get them as well. We get these calls all the time, and we're not out here with the cap out saying, give us money. We want your money. We don't want your money. We want to help people. That's the difference. It's we genuinely care, because you'll always find that once someone's hit rock bottom, they will always be there to offer advice and support to people, because they know exactly how it feels, and they don't want anybody else to feel as shit as they felt. And that's the difference between us guys and the rest of the challenge.
I think for me, to kind of summarize, like, for this podcast, what I built, my opinion is zero tolerance should be out the window. You know, like, for me, that's a biggie. And again, all organisers, some big companies that I've worked closely with speaking for, I've actually done it after we've had conversations, and they are actually offering support to the employees before marching them off site. And I think everyone deserves a second chance.
100%. 100%.
But the thing is, that doesn't mean, you can go out and get off your head and go and feel good. It means if you have got an issue, talk about it. Do you know what I mean? But it's creating them safe spaces.
100%, mate. And I think that's what it is. It's getting that initial, Steve, come in, do your test. Steve, you've tested positive for cannabis. Can we talk, Steve? Yeah, certainly. Well, the first protocol would be you would be getting put off site. However, we're a progressive team, and what we're going to do is we're going to get an industry expert in to have that chat with you, to say, do you know about the dangers of cannabis, with psychosis, with all these things, to sit down and have that chat, rather than it being, Steve, your ass is toast, you're out the door. And what we'll do, Steve, cannabis stays in your system for 2 months, for instance. We will retest you in 2 months' time, and if you do fail it, then your ass may be toast. Do you know that? That's the kind of attitude that we need to start taking. Listen, you do have a black mark, you do have a target on your back. This is the industry. We can't have people walking about site inebriated. But
it's a high risk industry. You can't have people operating machinery or working at height, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's okay to do it. What I'm saying is there's a lot of it out there, and people need a second chance. And
100%.
Yeah, still do all the testing. And like you said, if you fail, you get offered the support, you get a black mark. if you fail again, then you had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to prove yourself. and do it
Exactly,
right.
mate. Exactly, because everybody deserves a second chance, as you say, and that's in this world, we could all be doing with a bit more compassion.
Exactly. It's a dark, dark world at the moment. But I think that brings us to an end, Craig, my friend. And yeah, anybody out there who is struggling, drink, drugs, anything else, work in the construction industry, drop us a message and we'll support any way we can, or we'll signpost, we'll do whatever we can do to help. So, and any big organisations watching this, project managers, hope you've took a little bit of it in, and you're not just going to match people off site, and you're going to start giving people an opportunity. I'm not the person I was before. I'm sure you're not the person you was, Craig. People can change. Sometimes people just need a little bit of a leg up and a bit of an education. So thank you very much. Join us for the next episode, and I'll catch up with you later, Craig. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for viewing this episode. We really appreciate your support. Remember, follow us, subscribe, share with a mate, join us live. Built for us. Let's build something stronger together.